You are looking also good today, and thank you for joining us at Skift Asia Forum. My name is Gounden, and I'm from Skift Advisory, which is the consulting leg of Skift. And what we do is we work with destinations, airlines, hotels, resorts, travel tech companies, tourism boards to help solve travel and tourism's hairy problems through strategy and through insights. So specifically what I do at Skift Advisory is I look after our insights team, and we look at quantitative research and methodology, we look at segmentation studies, brand health tracking, and today I am going to talk to you about something that I care deeply about. How do we grow tourism while maintaining the authenticity and the purpose of a people and place? Now, I've been born and raised in South Africa, and it pains me to no end when I hear travelers saying that they want to go to Africa for their next travel destination. I mean, do you know how big Africa is? We have 54 countries, and each of those countries, they have their own flavor, they have their own people, they have their own music and food, and really each one of those countries has its own travel tourism offering. And yet, Africa to this day remains, still a place that has, in its branding, very homogeneous in its nature. It's really undifferentiated when people think about it. So when I think about the Asian continent, the opposite is true. From having the artful heritage of Japan to having the cultural exploration of Malaysia, or Singapore's seamless city escapes, or when you think about the vibrancy of the markets in Vietnam, or even here, the sensory overload in Thailand. And I can go on, but I think that you might agree with me when I say that Asia really has created the masterclass in destination branding. Now, that doesn't mean to say that Asia is necessarily better than Africa. It's just that Asia as a continent has really spent a lot of time building those destination brands. They have taken the time to really craft something that is differentiated and unique while still keeping the authenticity of the people and the place. So all of you being in the industry here in Asia, you're the ones who have invested in the marketing. You have put in the powerful stories to tell the stories of your people, and really have invited the world to see Asia through your own culture and through your own eyes. So today, I'm going to explore 3 questions which I think are really important in taking good destination brands and how you might grow from there. Number 1 being, when does a destination story become so perfect that it almost starts to feel a little fake? And how can we grow tourism while still keeping the authenticity and the what keeps the destination so centric to its core, the people and the place? And how can we make sure that the lesser known parts of Asia are not left behind? So let's get into the first one, when a destination becomes too perfect. Let me tell you about a story of 2 times that I was in a country, so in 2 different countries, one being Tanzania and the other one being China. One having these beautiful cafes with the lanterns, and the other having these pristine beaches. Now, in both those places, there were people, the locals, they were dressed in their traditional attire, and they were taking these pictures with tourists for commercialization. So they were selling these pictures. And something just seemed a little off to me about both those places. Both those places seemed to have something too perfect about it. It was like walking into the set of some big movie production. And this is when destinations become too polished. It's too made up. It loses the authenticity. There's no chaos in there. There's no noise. And it kind of takes away from what you would expect when you go to a destination. Now, we've just completed a study for our clients in Saudi, And this is on a segmentation study. So you may or may not know about segmentations, but what we do in a segmentation study is that we really look into who the traveler is. What are they about? What are they feeling? What do they really value when they are traveling? What are some of their travel preferences and behaviors? And the overwhelming result of what we saw from the study to date is that people are looking for something real. They want something that connects them, makes them feel human, makes them feel alive again. And this is really good for us because that means that we need to start looking at what makes real experiences. And so yes, we should be able to tell our stories, but we should also leave space for the real life. Let people feel, let people go through the real kind of experiences in a destination. From the noisy markets to the closed temples to a grandma selling snacks out of her home. That's what makes a place truly unforgettable. So this slide really just talks about the authenticity and balancing this act and having to tell you about branding versus the authenticity, moving from story selling to storytelling. So the next one is about growth without losing the heart. So let's do a live poll. Raise your hands if you have ever been in a place that felt too crowded to be comfortable. Wow, okay, so that's almost all of you. So maybe it was a temple in Bali, maybe it was the crowded streets of Barcelona, maybe it was the streets of Tokyo or even a square in Paris. Some of these places feel like you can barely breathe in them, let alone have some peace of mind. And this is what happens when growth goes too far. So we start building for the tourists instead of the people that live there. You start seeing that you have the local homes are being turned into hotels, or the stores that you had, they're now being turned into the big chains. And then you also have ceremonies which are timed for the tourist buses. And yet, I think it was in our 2024, the State of Industry report that Skift usually releases every year, one of the strongest trends we had seen coming out was this one about destination stewardship mindset. And this is the growing awareness that tourism should be about management and not about marketing. This means putting the limits on volume. It means rethinking the infrastructure and ensuring that locals are not being pushed out of telling their own stories. I once spoke to a woman in Vietnam, so she was the hostess that I had in Vietnam, and she had this tea shop and she ran it with her husband. And we got to talking about tourism, and she told me, Michelle, tourism at one stage was something that helped me get my child through to school, but I'm seeing my neighbors selling their homes, and I'm also, I don't recognize the street anymore. So that doesn't mean to say that tourism is a bad thing. We all know we're in the industry, that tourism can be a powerful force for the economy, for the people. But we must grow in a way that thinks about how to protect what we have. And that's what makes it special as well. So what that really means is that we support local businesses, not just the big developers that are out there, that we are involving community in planning the decisions and setting limits, so on the visitor numbers, on construction, but also what we choose to change. Because once that culture is lost, it's really difficult to try and pull that back. On the last one, so don't forget the quiet places. So a few years ago, I visited a place called Samba Island, and it is a few hours flight out of Bali, and it is so beautiful out there. It is so untouched. There's no traffic, there's no people, there's no crowds, and it's really just a place that you can go there and just relax, and the people are also just magical when you go there. But when you search, so at the time, it was a couple of years ago, and I searched for Samba Island, there's no big campaign, there's no tourism board videos promoting the place, there's no influencers on this place. And that's what I call the branding gap. So this idea or this reality that some destinations get all of the budget. They get all, you'll see the big billboards, and there will be TikTok reels and big Instagram campaigns promoting a place, while others go completely off the radar and they're in the shadows. And these smaller places are typically a bit more remote, they're a bit further away, and they're often community-led with very little resources. So if we're not careful, we end up with two types of destinations: the famous ones that get all the tourists and all the money, and then the quiet ones that stay in the shadows. But here's the good news. Travelers today are looking for deeper experiences. They're ready to explore the lesser-known places, and that's what our research is showing us. So the big ask of what we need to do is start shifting investment from those big popular places to the places that really need to shine and to get out there. So there's some ideas worth sharing. I've got 4 of them up on the screen here. Number 1 is that we need to measure more than just arrival. So in addition to having the visitor numbers, we need to track resident happiness. We need to look at cultural preservation and environmental health. Number 2 is that we need to fund the places that have little to no voices. We should set aside part of our marketing budgets to really invest in them and put them on the map and help them build and tell their stories. Although we should keep some things offline as well, because we should keep some places sacred. And that requires a choice of how we're deciding to grow our destinations. Number 3, we need to put locals on the map and put them in the driver's seat. Let the people who live in a place be the ones to actually make the big decisions, not just through consultation, but with real decision-making power. And finally, we need to tell stories with honesty. So let the people see the beauty of a place, but also let them see the complexity, because there's that imperfect perfectness that comes through. So in conclusion, I'd like to summarize a few points. Tourism is not just about the numbers. It's about the people, it's about the places, and the integration of them. Asia has already shown us that you have done an amazing job with the branding of destinations, and that's no small feat. It's been really a consistency in being able to do that. And as Asia continues to lead, and it will grow because of this beautiful foundation that has been built for Asia, there's now a pivotal moment where us as the leaders of tourism in the industry have this choice to make about how we decide to grow our destinations. We should build a model of tourism that not only attracts, but that uplifts at the same time. So we want to make sure that we're not just focusing on the growth, because if we do that, then we could risk the cultural and losing the culture of what we have. And if we only focus on culture, then we could miss out on opportunities. So it's really about striking that balance in terms of how we want to build a future for tourism that is both beautiful and fair. So as a parting note with all of you, let's not be the generation that grows tourism so fast. Let's be the generation that does it wisely, that does it through making sure that we have the connectedness of the people, that we do it with care, and that we do it with courage. So thank you so much for listening to me today. If you do want to continue the discussion, please do reach out to me at mg@skift.com or find me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much.